Anita, Adam Lanza is only the latest young man on a roster of mass shooters who commit these acts before taking their own lives. The Newtown tragedy is spurring a national conversation about how we deal with mental health issues. Dr. Jenson is a clinical psychologist and co-chair of the mental health crisis team at Cleveland's American Red Cross, and he works with individuals and organizations to develop crisis plans to respond to traumatic events. And you are also an expert on Asperger's and autism. First of all, thanks for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
I think this is such important information. It's being reported that Adam Lanza had Asperger's, and I wonder if you know of any evidence to support that, and speak to the concern that people in the mental health field and parents of kids who have Asperger's have, that now all kids with Asperger's are going to be painted with the same brush, that they are prone to violence.
Well, I can tell you, Lee, having responded following dozens of disasters and catastrophes around the United States, you know, there are almost always rumors that kick up, hypotheses about what really happened.
People want a cause.
You know,
right.
We're all asking why. Unfortunately, especially in the immediate aftermath of a disaster like this, answers are few and far between. People grasp for any bits of information they can to try to pull something together. In this case, Asperger's, autism, ADHD, conduct disorder, so many hypotheses are being kicked around. It is far too early to bank on any one diagnosis or summary statement about what caused this event.
And as an expert on Asperger's, I mean, would you connect someone with Asperger's or that syndrome to the kind of violence that we saw?
Well, Lee, you know, I've worked with, I couldn't possibly count how many young adults, teens with Asperger's and autism, and I can tell you that the symptoms that are reported for Adam are very different than what we typically find in a person who has Asperger's or HFA, high-functioning autism, or any kind of autism. They tend to typically be people who are asocial, yes, as perhaps this individual was, but they also tend to be guided by strict moral principles. If anything, they are usually more rule-bound and moral, if you will, than the average person.
There is a blog post by the mother of a young man, a teenager with special needs. I am Adam's mother, Adam Lanza's mother. This has gone viral online. What can you tell us about what we've been reading?
Well, you know, first off, there's a story within a story within a story with regards to this, this article, this alleged blog. It's really not a blog. It is actually an article written by a nonfiction writer, a mother who apparently has a somewhat disturbed background herself. There's questions about, you know, the conclusions that she reaches. I've read the article that she wrote. It's actually remarkably well written, emotional, compelling, but whether it really speaks to fact or whether it's a
or fiction.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to say.
So I think, though, it does raise a lot of questions about where parents or even educators who may have concerns about certain things they see, what they can do and where they can turn for help. What should they look for, first of all? Well,
you know, identifying symptoms in a person who is likely to be a shooter or even react in an aggressive or inappropriate manner, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, in part because although we're always looking for answers and we'd like to know, you know, what's the script that we can look for, there is no profile that captures every person with these kind of tendencies. So what we look for are extreme behaviors. We look for
threats?
Any kind of threats. Okay, now you're really into stage 2 when you talk about threats. First, we look for, are there great fluctuations in mood and emotion? Are there erratic shifts in behavior? Is the person very unpredictable? Are they you know, moving from one set of behaviors to another without any just cause?
So very quickly, because we are just about out of time, but if you are someone who has a child and you feel, what are your options? Where do you turn for help?
You know, there are so many resources in the Cleveland community alone. If a person, for example, is concerned that their son or daughter might have autism, there's milestones.org, a great organization online that people can get information from. There's city, there's county, there's state agencies that can offer assistance. There's also insurance companies. There are employee assistance programs.
Okay.
People need to reach out.
All right, Dr. Kurt Jenson, I know this is a complicated subject and we just scratched the surface, but I hope it's a conversation that we'll continue to have. Thanks very much for being here.
Thanks, Lee.
We'll be right back.